What's the case against going back to Toronto?
Well, Kawhi, you just won a championship with the Raptors. It's great. Canada's really thrilled. But you know what? You're from Southern California. Go back home. The weather's much nicer all year long. On top of that, both teams there have young players that you can build around going forward. I should say the Clippers do. And the Lakers have two of the best players in the world. So go play back in Southern California.
Okay, so that's the case against the Raptors. And right now what we're supposed to do is come back out and talk about this. But we have an intriguing moment. Now, I think America needs to see this because clearly this is something Jay has cooked up here.
Something's happening.
All of a sudden, Jay Williams, while he was talking,
I got distracted mid-section because I don't know what's happening.
I think Jay is being Magic Johnson.
Okay, here we go.
Sorry, just sending out a tweet, Kawhi. Okay. Meeting with Kawhi went great, okay? I had to close I closed a Comcast deal with the Dodgers. It's, anyway, it's about you, Kawhi. Hold 1 second, Kawhi. Linda, what do you want me to? He's good? Is he good? What does Ginny think? Is he in? I'm not sure. Kawhi, look, I'm not sure right now. I'm a little confused with what's going on. I'm going to wait for a text from Rich Paul. We'll figure this out. Don't leave yet. Stay here. We'll figure it out. Rich, he's good? Great. Kawhi, we want you. This is it. It's a chance to be great. Let me send out a tweet.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Bravo.
Hey, bravura performance. By the way, the sort of low-key Linda Rambis reference in that was by far my favorite part. All right. Sean Farnham, I give you the impossible task of following that up. What is the case against the Clippers?
Well, this is the easiest case of them all. All right, let's just start with we're not the Lakers, so we don't have LeBron James, and we don't have Anthony Davis. So let's just start with that. Let's also start with the next component. Hey, the Raptors are a really good team. You just won a championship with them. And the Lakers, as I mentioned, have two of the top 5 players in the league. Our offseason has consisted of not adding a single player of note, simply just re-signing who we already had. And, of course, the third and probably the most important component of why you should not sign with the Clippers. We're the Clippers. There you go.
I think Rutledge is actually crying.
I have shed tears. That was funnier to me.
So having done both sides of this now, we have now been fair in the interest of equal time. We have argued for and against both.
I mean, I don't know if fair is the right way to put it.
At the end of the day, I will ask you first, Jay. If it was you, if you were trying to put yourself in his shoes, try as best you can to sort of envision yourself in the circumstance that he is in, which of the three would you choose?
I would go back to Toronto. I really would. I think that sometimes you think you know what you want in life, Greeny, and then you start to experience different things, and then your opinion can change. And I know we live in a society where it's like, what I said 5 years ago, I need to stick by because I said it 5 years ago, but people are allowed to have their opinions change. Yeah. And I think the way Toronto has handled everything, if you give them a 2-year deal, the amount of money you're able to get, you run that back there. Even if you do a year deal, you can still come out next year and see how the Lakers have handled this whole situation, see what pieces they've added, or see what the Clippers have done, and then reassess from there. I will go back to Toronto.
You know what? I'm going to give you mine here because I think I'll just be curious to see how you guys react to this. I hope against hope, as a fan of basketball, that Kawhi Leonard does not sign with the Lakers because I feel that they would become basically an impossible team to beat, and if they stayed healthy, they would lay waste to the league and make the entire season feel irrelevant. But if I were Kawhi, that's what I would do. The hell with what anybody says. I'm going to go to the best team. We're going to win every single night. We're going to get all the attention in the world. I'm going to win a bunch more championships and let the rest of the world sort out my legacy. Who cares? People are going to find things to dislike about me regardless. I'm going to go play with those two guys, and we're going to kick everybody's butt every single night. Well, that's what I would do.
Well, and to your point, when Kawhi Leonard left the Spurs, he got vilified by a lot of people for the way that went, right? But he stuck to his guns and said, I'm not healthy. I'm not ready to play. I'm going to go somewhere else. So to your point, he isn't worried about the perception. But I'm with Jay Will. I think if I was him, I would stay with the Raptors. And to me, it goes back to his first press conference in Toronto back in September. When they asked him what his goals were for his career, it wasn't to win a lot of championships. It wasn't to have any individual accolades. It was to have a long career. This is a guy who's coming off playing 9 games with the Spurs, right? Had all these health issues, comes to the Raptors. They take care of him physically. They get him through the playoffs. They get him through the postseason. He wins a title. He looks like the best player in the world now. I mean, to me, if I'm him, if that's what's important to me, the Raptors have proven they can do that. These other teams can say they can, but we don't know if they can.
All right, I would go even a step further is the ability to change your mind, as you mentioned. All right, think about Paul George, right? He wanted to come and be a Laker. The Lakers thought they had him. And he stayed in OKC. Why? Because he went there and he found something that he was comfortable with. And I think one of the things that we look past is Kawhi spent a year in the Eastern Conference after spending a majority of his career in the Western Conference, where it is a fight. We talk about the teams in the Western Conference and how many of them have improved, how many of them have a chance to be the top dog, whether it's Denver, Portland, Utah, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Rockets. It is a dogfight in the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, you talk about having longevity, it's a little bit easier. We mentioned the last couple of teams, we talked about this last night, but the last couple of teams that make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference have sub-500 records. You have some nights where you can kind of load manage and you can still build up and help that longevity and still put up those monster numbers and still not only just be the king of the North, but the king of the East. And he had, we're not talking about Giannis being the MVP. We're talking about Kawhi Leonard. And that, for me, is why he should go back to Toronto.
Remember how a lot of the conversation at points during this past NBA season was player happiness? Well, when did we see Kawhi the happiest? And I think it was when he was hoisting that trophy with Toronto. I would say two things about that. Number one being, I think he wants to win championships, even though he did say he wants to have a long career. At the end of the day, he wants to win championships. Yeah. And that would lead you to believe the Lakers would be the easiest place maybe to do that. But I think he also may want to win more championships in Toronto. There seems to be a sentimental value there and just a smile on his face. We don't see him as that guy who shows that much emotion. We did see it after he won that.
Winning championships is important, but who you win those championships with is even more important. And I think that camaraderie and that chemistry that he's built with these guys for the past year, and I could be wrong, but I think that speaks volumes about where they all are. Like, nobody's pressured him. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.